Good evening, Wonders. Kaifu here. Today I have a deck profile for you guys. If you're wondering, we're talking about Odin again. In this profile, this is not like a black and white Odin deck like the previous video. This is my version. If you guys haven't noticed that in the previous video of that Odin deck, I mentioned that there's two types of Odin. That one's my girlfriend, this one's mine. So I want to show you the difference between the comparison of it. Also, I want to keep you know that this is the standard format. If you guys didn't know, there's two types of format, the Bifrost and standard format, which I will get to that later in another video. But at the moment, this is the standard Odin format deck I'm going to be playing for a while. So let's get on with the video. So as you guys can see, Odin is my ruler, or I say Horns is my ruler, but let's keep it easy, I say Odin for now. Odin is pretty much my ruler, but what I focus on is pretty much the +2 and -2 ability. Most people who play Odin really focus on getting him to J-Rule ASAP to finish the game off. Like, it's pretty much a one-hit KO deck, but I focus with the control power, with the subtracting and adding power, so I can gain advantage over that and overwhelm my opponent with advantages over that. That's what I use it for. For the Magic Stone lineup, I play 4 black and white dual stone, and 4 blue and green dual stone, and 2 standard blue. As you guys already noticed, I have 2 proxy here. I don't have all the dual stone yet because I couldn't get all of them yet. Yes, and you guys didn't know, these just came out a couple of days ago in Australia, so I already got our hands on it. But the thing is, really hard to get dual stone at the moment because dual stone is like you get 6 dual stones per box, so it's really hard to get the ones you want. It's all randomized as well. But let's talk about why I chose this specific dual stone. Obviously, you're going to be playing Odin, so well, I'm going to be playing Odin anyway. So the reason why I'm playing black and white dual stone is pretty much essentially a staple to Odin deck anyway. So for example, if you can't time a Ragnarok because you didn't draw time a Ragnarok on time, or your opponent has a J-Roll on the field, you can't use time Ragnarok, so you have to call Odin the manual way, which is paying the 6 cost, which is 2 lights, 2 darks, and 2 other colors, and this is consistent enough to give you the chance you to J-Roll the normal way, the manual way, should I say. And as you guys notice, I'm playing 6 blues, and 4 of them has to be blue-green dual stone. Now, I'll explain the dual stone now. Why I'm playing blue and green instead of just standard full and blue. The reason why is that I play tech cards in my sideboard and my main board with green, so I want to have the option to use some green cards with my blue cards. And why I'm just playing the 2 standard blue instead of like maybe some blue reds for intimidation, such as, like I said before in the early video, it's really hard to get some dual stone or access dual stone to what you want. So standard blue is really is good enough, to be honest. And to be honest, red and blue is a good dual stone overall, but however, I don't see me using it because fire or red in general just eats so much resources that it's not even funny. And besides, it comes to deck building, it just takes up too much space, so I don't want to go overextending to that point. Now it's the time for what everyone's been waiting for, the deck itself. Keep in mind that this is a 50 card deck. Now you'll be wondering why I'm playing a 50 card deck instead of standard 40 card deck. It's really simple, because as long Chrono exists, I'm not building anywhere below 50, because the point is Chrono in English format, which we're currently all playing by now, decks you out before you can even finish the game off. So I won't have the opportunity to actually hope to finish my opponent before I deck out. If I finish my opponent before decking out, then that's great, because in the mid to late game I should be in control. The problem is they have a lot of delay cards, so they delay you for a lot of time until you run out of gas and until you deck out pretty much. So that's the problem. So let's get on with the deck profile. For starter, I play 2 Apprentice Students, I play 3 Wisdom Mermaid, 3 Song Tides, 3 Indigo Sirens, and 2 Tri Mermaid Frenza. Now this is my Mermaid engine. I played the Mermaid engine for my water control deck. Now reasons why, because they're all flexibles and such and so on. Like for example, I play her because as you guys notice, I don't have a lot of offensive card in my free drops up below. So Tri is pretty much my really offensive card, first strike and so on. 600 good body to attack with as well, so you don't actually get overwhelmed by opponent that are starting attacking you and you just trying to defend and gain control on the field. So that's the reason why I'm playing her. Indigo Siren, she is one of the best cards in the deck, to be honest. She actually takes control of the resonator, so you're facing a fire deck. If you have this in your hand, in opening hand, you guarantee have a good advantage over it, because you can take away the resonator, use it against them, use them to block their attack, and use them to attack them, then sacrifice it for your own reason, and so on. So a really good card overall. It's really hard to kill unless you use Black Flame or Double Thunder or Double Lance to kill it, which is completely fine to me, because in this deck you can resurrect it and gain control again. And not only that, they're wasting a lot of resources to kill a free drop pretty much. So that's why I like it. Next, I play 3 song titles. As you guys know, I play a lot of mermaids, so why not use the mana ramp guy? So if I mana ramp, I get all cards on the field faster, and I gain control of the field really easy. So she's one of the purposes that I gain control faster than my opponent. Whereas the mermaid, she is instantly a +1 when she comes to the field. You place on the field, you draw a card, you break it, add to your hand, so you got nothing to lose with her. And also as a mermaid, 200, 400, good body already, so you can use it as a wall, draw a card, and such and so on. You got nothing wrong with it. Next, I play 2 Mermaid Apprentice. So this is my last 1-drop. These are the my 1-drops I play actually in the whole deck. Reason why I don't play too much 1-drop is because that, like, in my opinion, only after 3 turns has passed by during your turn, I don't think you really want to drop any of the 1-drops anymore, because reason is that you can drop a lot better, like 3 drops, 2 drops, 4 drops, or 5 drops are resonators. These are here just for filler for now. Like, if you have an open hand, that's great, you play on here for first turn. Other than that, that's pretty much it. You don't really use her as much. Maybe sometime you use her for desperation, but overall it doesn't really do much to you. Like, you put on the field, that's pretty much it. It doesn't do anything. You attack with it, sure, but other than that, it doesn't really do much to your opponent. They will survive because it's on 4,000 life points, so it will take a long time for you to even finish them. So this is just like I feel like you can say for the mermaids, you can say you're just there for 1-drop pretty much. Next, for my 6-drop resonators, for blue that is, I play 3 Mirage Dark. Pretty much it's one of the best dragons out there at the moment, coming close to, actually Golden Dragon is coming close to Mirage Dark, but Mirage Dark has protection overall, so if you try to target it with a spell's ability, you can just instantly protect yourself. You can drop this on turn 4 or turn 5 even, because of the song title mana ramp. So if everything going according to plan, you can drop him pretty easy on turn 4, and you have a lot of advantage because of that. This guy is really scary to handle, because it has protection, it has flying, it has 1,000, 1,000. It's really hard to kill, and because of that protection, it's really hard to get rid of this guy. You can't kiss a death, wash away, whatever, so on the line. It's really hard to kill. So that's all for my resonators, but I do want to make some changes, because that in some matchup I do struggle putting out 4 drops from my deck, because I do not actually get my 4 drops early on time. So I might consider playing some 4 drops for water, maybe like 4 drops or higher, 4 or 5 drops to actually play in the deck to get more offensive. Because as you can see, I don't play a lot of offensive cards in my blue lineup. The only offensive card I have is pretty much Try and Mirage Dark. So all these are just the defensive and setting up my control plays. So I might consider it, but overall I'm pretty happy with the list at the moment. So let's get on with the spell part. For the spell, I play 3 Crime Wave and Abandon, 2 Voice of the False God, and 2 Wash Away. Now as you can see, these are my control card, or draw power you can say. Crime Away and Abandon is pretty much essentially a really good control card, because it cancels anything addition, standard, standby, chant, instant, spell summon. You can cancel anything and bounce back to your opponent's hand, and you draw 1 card. So you're pretty much delaying your opponent and cancel that card, forcing them to waste more resource, forcing them to think, should I play this card again, or should I go to plan B? So overall it's a really good control card, so I recommend playing this in any control decks, in water anyway. I would recommend playing in 4, but I think 4 is a bit too much, clogs the hand, you draw too much way too often for it, and I'd say 3 should be enough. Next, 2 Voice of the False God. This used to be Windfall before the new set came out, which just came in like a couple days ago, which I mentioned in the video. What's so good about this card is because that you actually can actually filter your hand out. Like for example, you have really bad hand, you don't have anything to drop in early game, you can activate this banish a resonator on the field, draw 2 cards, you banish a human, draw 3. Maybe like, isn't that just a 1-for-1 because you lost 2 cards, you draw 2 cards, and you only get +1 if you control a human. The thing is, if you use Indigo Siren combination, you take the resonator before recover phase, activate this, banish the resonator, draw 2 cards. So you instantly got +1 out of that. You remove the resonator and you draw 2 cards out of it. And the reason why is that so good, because this used to be Windfall, like I said before. Windfall is a 4-drop, which let you target a player draw 2 cards. But it takes way too long to activate it, and not only that, you need at least, hopefully have a lot of mana to actually use it at all, because this one's cost 2 and that one costs 4, so I'd rather use the cost 2 one to actually draw cards. Just in case they actually like target my resonator with Kiss of Death and such as so, I can activate this, banish that, draw 2 cards. Because it's an instant card, so you can actually activate this on your opponent's turn as well. 2 Washaways is a self-defense card, really common sense to play in any control deck. Now you're gonna be wondering, why am I only playing 2? Why am I not playing 4? Why not playing 3? Why just 2? Well, reason is that it's a good card as a control card, but however, you're only delaying your opponent, you're not really getting rid of the problem. Yes, you bounce a card back to your opponent's hand, but however, what's the point? Like, what's the point bouncing it back to your hand? You can just play again next turn, and the following turn, if I don't finish them off, you can just swing for game. The reason why this is here, you control what your opponent can play and such and so on. For example, they drop a golden dragon, they attack you directly, you bounce it back. They'd be like, okay, next time I'll play it again. If you do not have another instant card stopping this, another 2,000 points of damage coming to your face. So that's why I didn't play too much Wash Away, because Wash Away just delaying your doom, you can say, while I'd rather draw a card to actually get rid of the problem. So that's all for my water engine. Let's go on to the dark engine now. For my dark resonators, I play 2 Cinderellas, 2 Reanimanite, and 3 Lauras, and 1 Deadman Prince. These are all my 3 drops below for darks. Now, as you can see, I only play 1 Deadman Prince. You'd be, why not play more? Because I have Cinderellas. Reason is that his ability isn't really that amazing, you can say. I recycle resonators about it, but for dark players like myself, control dark players, I'd rather have my resonator in the bin to actually resurrect it later with, for example, resurrect with Reanimanite and such and so on in my deck. So I don't want to play too much of it, but there are in some scenario I actually need to get some cards back from my drops and back to my hand, so I can play him to grab something back. Laura is pretty much search my Vampire 4-drop, so I don't have to play too much 4-drops in this deck. So I can just search it out instantly to add in my hand and then use it for later in turn 4. So not much saying that is instant +1, 2-drop, so you can play on turn 2 and then add something in hand and get some stuff ready set up. Reanimanite is pretty much a staple in any dark deck because it's a good control card overall. For example, as you saw in my 3 drops below for water, I play Indigo Siren, Try, and Songtide, so those are really good cost 3 drops pretty much. So I can banish this one and resurrect like Indigo Siren to take control, Songtide for mana ramp, or I can get Try for offensive. So this card turns into a really aggressive card. And Cinderella, well, Cinderella is pretty much used for defensive and offensive and defensive card play style. Like how I think of it is that I attack and get a +1 to get my prince in my hand. That's an offensive move. But for the defense move, it's really easy because I can banish a resonator on my side of the field. If you guys didn't know, you have to banish a resonator you control. You can't banish your opponent resonator. You have to banish a resonator you control to actually inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent's resonator all of them at once. So if I banish like a total of 3 resonator on my side, I'll deal 600 points of damage to all my opponent's resonator. So that's a really powerful play like for like one dude. And if my opponent recklessly play Blood Moon on the field, like the Blood Moon from set 2, you can actually play this, banish resonator, nuke the opponent's field like instantly. Like that's really crazy from one card only. So that's why I like it. Let's go to my high drop for now. For my 4 drops or above for dark, I play 3 Camellia and 2 Morgans. Camellia is a vampire resonator, so it's a target for Laura to search out. So pretty much when Laura comes to play, you search her out and add to your hand to have an instant +1 later when it comes to play. Not only that, it kills a non-vampire, so you instantly get +1. It has no restriction why you can't use it. So it's a good card overall. If you're playing the Vampire Ruler, then it's recommended to play this card overall. But overall, it's a really good card. 800 for a 4-drop, and it kills something on the field instantly, as long as it's not a non-vampire. Next I have 2 Morgans. Morgan is pretty much my auto resurrector in this deck. When it comes to play, I resurrect one by destroying a resonator I control. You mostly combine with this combination with Indigo Siren, take the control of that resonator, attack them with it, drop this, sacrifice that resonator, resurrect one. So pretty much you want to resurrect your high drop pretty much like for example with Mirage Dark or such and so on, because Mirage Dark can go in the bin like for example from Break, or you have to discard because you have too much cards in hand, so you can resurrect it later with this guy. Also, when it goes to graveyard, you destroy and resonate on the field, so it's an offensive defensive card as well. So for example, you can play her, sacrifice her, resurrect one, destroy card on the field. So you're going really offensive from there, and so on. That's all for my resonator. Let's go to my spells. For my spell lineup, I play 3 Kiss of Death and 2 Murder Ego. Murder Ego is pretty much act like a Kiss of Death. Now you could be wondering, why not playing 4 Kiss of Death? I don't know if I mentioned in my previous video, like in the Odin black and white deck, I don't want to play too much Kiss of Death because of the light matchup. If I play against a light matchup, my Kiss of Death will be a dead draw. If we draw too much of it, like unless they're playing a combination deck, if not, like Kiss of Death is really a dead card. I can't use it at all unless it's in my break area. Murder Ego pretty much does the same thing in Kiss of Death, subtract the defense by 500, so you can actually attack them, they block with it, and then okay, later on play this, decrease that defense by 500, and then kill it right away. So really good card overall. So you break it, put it in your hand, so you don't have to activate it right away, or kill something on board if you don't control any resonate. Unlike Kiss of Death, if you break it, you have to destroy something. If you're the only person who controls a resonator, you have to kill your own resonator. So that's the bad thing about it. But overall, these are your control card, control your opponent's plays, and such on, destroy the resonator. Mostly, Murder Ego destroys a free drop or below from now. It used to be a 4 drop below because back then the format wasn't a lot of 4 drops with high defense, but now with a 4 drop high defense, this mostly can kill 3 drops or below, but you can get away with sometimes against 4 drops if depending on what card they play. That's all for the spell, so let's go on with my other engine. For my light engine, I played 2 Atamarasu. Atamarasu is pretty much my meta core card because if you guys haven't noticed, in the latest set Crimson Moon, you haven't noticed there's a lot of addition cards, and those addition cards are quite annoying. For example, you can't tap your resonator, you can't be targeted by spell ability, vampire cannot attack, it's just so like a lot of annoying cards. So this is another answer to it. I can drop her because I play a black light legend with my dual stone, so I can drop her on the field, and later if they play an addition, tap it, destroy an addition. Also not again, it's also good that I can prevent my opponent from dealing damage to my resonator and can't be targeted by spell at the end of turn, so that's a good thing about it. And it can't be attacked by as well, so they can't get rid of it unless they use like Murder Ego, Wash Away, and such as on, like a removal spell to actually get her off the field, because Kiss of Death won't work on her because she's unlocked. And not only that, even if they do target her, I can just rest her and target herself. So there's really no way to get rid of it unless you double chase it. So it gets rid of the addition, it prevents your resident from dying, so it's a good card overall, but it's really hard to get on the field. The reason is that because it's a free light, because of cost free light, it's really hard to put on the field obviously. So there are chances you can break it, put it in the bin, and resurrect it with reanimating light, and so on. Like there's lots of ways to get on the field, but you don't want to play too much because you don't play too much light support in your deck, in my deck anyway. For my green engine, like at the start of the video I mentioned that I'd like to play some tech cards for green. So for my green I play 3 Law of Silence and 2 Whisper Winds. Now Law of Silence is a really powerful stun control card. For example, if you're in a winning position but you couldn't finish your opponent off, during their turn you can activate this on them to guarantee the game because they can't play anything, they can't activate normal spell, which relates to additions, chant, standby, normal spells, normal spell as in like instance. So yeah, they can't activate those, or can they spell summon, so you can stop them from summoning stuff to defend. So this guarantees game if you activate this at the right time, or you stun your opponent at the right time, so there'll be a really disadvantage. So that's a good thing. Whisper Wind, this card's been kind of iffy. Well, I've been taking it out and in and out because what it does is that I can pay 3 to actually search a spell card from my deck to add to my hand. So I can search for a chant or instant, so I say more accurately. I search for Law of Silence, I can search for Kiss of Death, search for Murder Ego, search for Wash Away, search for Crime and Abandon, search for False God to draw power. Like I can search anything I want from my deck for spells anyway. But the problem is that it shows them what I have, so they can be prepared for it. But overall it's a good card, but I might replace these later with better resonators for my water area because I do not have a lot of 4 drops or higher for my water. So if I need to drop some 4 drops for water, if I have the mana ramp going, so might as well use 4 drops for my water if I don't draw the Mirage Dark. So that's one reason why. But overall, I search for a chant or spell card, chant instant to my hand. Still a good card. I can search for stuff like, for example, my other winning condition is Time of Ragnarok. I can search for that to actually nuke the field if I'm in a losing position. To be honest, I never really actually activate these unless I really need to. These are my backup plan if I actually have the need to actually use Time of Ragnarok to nuke the field and such and so on. Nuke the field and put the J-Rule on the field and battle each other. Other than that, that's pretty much it, but I am considering taking these two out to replace with some other resonator, for example the pipe or the hawk from the light trial deck, or I should use the rabbit from the new set, which is a 4-drop 900 flying. When it comes to play, bounce a card on the field back to my opponent's hand. I'm considering like a lot of control cards, but at the moment these cards being good, but I most likely will take these out because I don't see a point to it, because I might as well not draw into dead cards I can't use in the early game, because if I draw any of these like in the early game, I can't do much because there's no guarantee I get my water blue, because there's no guarantee I get my green blue at the right time. So I might drop these two for something else better, to be honest. Maybe one of the main cards, like maybe like black cards, maybe my water cards and such, maybe some light cards. So who knows, let's see what happens. So yeah guys, this is my deck profile for my Odin deck for the standard format. Leave a comment section down below to tell me what cards you can recommend for a control deck for Odin and such and so on. I really like the deck at the moment. It's been doing well and such and so on. It did well in National before set 3 came out. I did came in top 8, if I didn't mention that in my previous video before. I don't want to brag about, but I did mention it because I did play something similar to this with water, black and light in it, because these didn't come out at the right time. So yeah, and also be sure to check the previous video. I'll leave the links down below or as sidebar and just so on, and subscribe guys. Peace.